With us now here on the MegaCast, let's welcome in Teri Weingarden. She's the West Bloomfield Township Treasurer. Teri, thank you for being with us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So I know that you're the West Bloomfield Township Supervisor, but you're on our show today to talk about wisdom. But before we get to that, how are things going in the township right now?
Things in the township are going great. We have been open to the public since beginning of June. And we have COVID precautions in place. We have plexiglass. We ask people to wear masks, but we've been open for business. And we've been very careful with our employees to make sure we're staying safe. And our residents have been really great about respecting the guidelines in the township. So we've been business as usual as much as we can. Just finished winter tax collection, and that went pretty smoothly as well. And we're preparing at this point that we're going to have a school election this spring, West Bloomfield schools. So we've been all keeping busy, but like I said, things have been going really well. I think we've been doing really good work at the board level, and the township's very much in sound fiscal condition as well. So that's always good.
Yeah, and so if we can talk about that for just a little bit, Teri, because you are the money manager there for West Bloomfield. So many cities are struggling right now due to the pandemic, but I know that when we talk with the township supervisors, things are pretty good in West Bloomfield because of the tax base, right?
So I've always been very fiscally conservative. I mean, we're all Democrats on the board, but we're all actually fiscal conservatives, which is kind of a nice blend. We've always been very proactive with funding our pension and our retiree health care obligations. We actually bonded that out before it was even something the state was pushing municipalities to do. And we've always been really good with making sure that we do 10-year projections and we plan for downturns. Our real estate base has been coming back very well since, the Great Recession. It will never quite be back at the levels we were just because of the way, the property tax structure is. But we're fine. We live within our means, and we have a very supportive community that does, let us have a public safety millage so that we can keep very good public safety in the township. So, yeah, the township has fared well. I mean, I know that it's been very hard on everyone, especially our residents, and we do understand. But because we were prepared and made sure we had, a good balance in our coffers, we haven't had to dig into that. We don't plan on having to, close down, lay off employees. None of that has ever been something we've had to thankfully consider.
Yeah, and we should know the housing market right now is on fire.
Yes. There's so much demand. There's not a lot of inventory, and people have actually been paying above asking price on a lot of homes. So the way that works really quickly from a tax standpoint is when you live in your home, because of the way the taxes are with Proposal A, your taxes don't go up very much. So your home could be a $300,000 home that could go up to $500,000, but your taxes aren't going to go up to $500,000. They're going to stay nice and even. What happens, though, is if your home sells, it uncaps, and then taxes can go at the actual, state equalized value of the property. So basically, the way a community gets more tax revenue is home sales. I mean, we love our residents staying forever, being lifelong residents. We don't want people to move away. But when people do transition sometimes into maybe a smaller home, and then their bigger home resells, it does allow us to gain more revenue.
Teri Weingarden with us here on the MegaCast. She's the West Bloomfield Township Treasurer. And now that we have township business out of the way, I know that you really came on the show to talk about wisdom, something outside of your township duties there. So tell us about wisdom.
Sure. So my day-to-day life is the township, but in the nights and weekends, I'm very much married to my organization, Wisdom. We're a women's interfaith group. It stands for Women's Interfaith Solutions for Dialogue and Outreach in Metro Detroit. Say that 10 times fast. So, wonderful organization. Started officially as a nonprofit back in May in 2007. There were a few interfaith women that met at this interfaith play And they started talking after the play, and they realized, wow, we actually have a lot in common, and it's really good to talk to people from different backgrounds. So a lot of people in the community know Gail Katz, West Bloomfield resident, very involved in the community. She was one of the founders of Wisdom and the person who I first met in Wisdom. And we're an interfaith board, so we have women leadership from our communities, mainly Oakland County, but we do pull from a few other counties as well. And we're all different religions. So for instance, I'm Jewish, and there are a few Jewish women on the board. We have people from all different religious backgrounds, Muslim, Baha'i, Buddhist, so Christian, and different areas of Christianity. We have people from Catholicism, we have Latter-day Saints. So we really try to have a good representation of women from different religious backgrounds, because at the end of the day, we find that we have way more in common than we have differences. Kind of our main program, our hallmark program, is called 5 Women, 5 Journeys. And what we do in this program is we'll be brought into sometimes communities, colleges, even middle schools, all sorts of different groups. And we have 5 women from different religious backgrounds and a moderator. And we talk about, our family backgrounds, our childhood, religious traditions. And we kind of discuss some of the topics that people have questions about. Like, for instance, they made it say to one of my Muslim sisters, what's with the hijab or the scarf you wear on your head? And then they might say to me, and what about the men? And they wear the cap, the yarmulke on their head. And we'll talk about how we grew up and how religion played in. And it's just so interesting, because what we're really trying to show, like I said, is how similar we are, especially the Abrahamic religions, which would be Judaism, which is the Old Testament, the Torah, then Christianity, which is the New Testament, the Bible, and then you get into Islam, which adds the Quran, and then Latter-day Saints, which adds the Book of Mormon. So we have other interfaith traditions as well, but it's very much fascinating to people that might not realize that those religions are very much intertwined, and they all start on the same basis. So I think a lot of people don't know that, and I think a lot of people have been surprised to find that our Muslim sisters actually do believe in the Bible. I mean, they believe in all the basics of the Jewish and Christian religions. And people, tend to not understand the differences and similarities. So we also have, I'll promote it, we have a new edition that recently came out of our book. And this book, Friendship and Faith, has 52 stories from women from your community. I'm in the book, but there's certainly more interesting stories than my own. And it really gives you kind of a snapshot into interfaith friendship and faith. And it really kind of gives you a feel for the people behind Wisdom, the heart of Wisdom, the friendship and sisterhood of Wisdom. I don't know what kind of questions you have. I'm talking a mile a minute.
No, it's very interesting. I'm wondering, how has it been in this recent atmosphere where people are maybe afraid to ask questions? Is this one of those arenas of a safe arena for people to be able to open up, because no one wants to be the person who asks the dumb question that is considered insensitive?
Very good question. So this is exactly and precisely the arena, and one of the main reasons. I mean, one of the reasons we say is to create space for peace. So what that means is to be able to sit down and have a talk. We do these sister circles where you literally, not obviously in a pandemic world, but we would go out to dinner, and a group of women would sit around dinner from different religions, and we would just talk. Oh, how's work going? How's the family? Oh, my daughter's getting married. Oh, my daughter's getting married. Or somebody in my family passed away. And you talk about these life cycle transitions, the birth, the marriage, the death, and you find out about each other. And you can ask tough questions. And this year and last year, we've really been focusing on exploring more, how do our sisters of color fit into this? Like, not just, maybe the churches and synagogues here in West Bloomfield, Michigan, but what about the Baptist Church? So we actually are right now, we've watched the Black Church series on PBS, and we're going to be discussing discussing that. The leadership team within Wisdom, we read White Fragility, and we're discussing that. And we're trying to really internally look into our organization to make sure we're being representative and respectful. And those are hard discussions. They're very hard discussions. But we understand that in order to connect with others and to not make them feel like the other, you need to step out of your comfort zone. You need to educate yourself. And it's a long life learning process. And sometimes you're going to make a mistake. You're going to maybe say something that wasn't the right thing to say. But then you're going to have somebody there to say, maybe a better way to say that would be this. Because sometimes you don't really know that you're misunderstanding something, but it's good to have a safe area to talk about these kind of discussions and really come together. Like, I consider these women my sisters. I mean, truly, these are my friends, my sisters. And they'll call me sometimes. They'll say, oh, you know, I had a coworker and they're Jewish and their mother died and I don't know what to do. I don't know what's appropriate. Do I send flowers? Do I bake? Do I make a donation? And those kind of nuances are different from religion to religion. And it's just nice to be able to call a friend and say, I want to do the right thing, but I'm not sure what that is. And we really do allow for that within the organization.
And with the education, it's all about educating one another and being open to those uncomfortable conversations. Teri Weingarden, how can people find out more about your organization, the Wisdom organization, and also how can they buy the book?
Good questions. So, Friendship and Faith, as the Wisdom president, believe me, I have inventory. It's a $20 book. It's well worth the read. It's a really nice way to kind of get to know the ladies in the organization through your community. It's also available on Amazon, Friendship and Faith, and I believe you can even buy it on an ebook. We are a membership organization, so we welcome women in the community to join. When we have events, men and women are definitely able to participate. And if anyone has any questions, they can contact me or go and look for Women's Interfaith Solutions on the web. But we would love to have you, and we'd be happy to also come to local communities or libraries or schools. We're about to go to a middle school online and share our stories.
Well, Teri, we so appreciate your time and your conversation. Thank you again for being with us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
And best of luck with the book, because we do live in a very diverse community. It's very valued here in our neighborhood.